again?
It's so good.
What's so good?
A cookie.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to go ahead and make my chocolate chip cookies that everyone loves. First, we're going to start off with 2 sticks of softened butter. They do have to be at room temperature. Remember that because that actually does make a difference when creaming the butter. So we're going to go ahead, put them into the bowl, and we're going to turn it on medium speed, and we're just going to go ahead and let that butter whip out to a smooth consistency. After that, we are going to go ahead and add in white granulated sugar. About 3/4 to 1 cup of sugar, depending on your preference, is just fine. And all we're going to do is go ahead and mix that together with the butter until it is nice and creamed together. After that, we're going to take dark brown sugar, and we're going to take roughly about 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. Just dump that in there and go ahead and cream that with the butter and the white sugar. And as it's mixing, I just stop the mixer in between just to scrape the sides of the bowls. That just ensures that all the butter and sugar is mixed together and everything will come out smoothly. After we do that, we go ahead and mix it again just a little bit to ensure it is mixed. I take the baking vanilla by Watkins. I go ahead and I put in about 2 tablespoons of vanilla. Yes, I like a little extra vanilla. To me, it gives it just a little bit more flavor. Once we add that in as it's mixing, we let it mix up together a little bit. We're going to go ahead and move that aside and start on working on our dry ingredients. First, we're going to take is white unbleached flour. And we're going to take roughly 3 cups of flour. Depending on the texture of the cookie can depend on how much flour you actually add. After we go ahead, we add in a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. I like this because it gives the cookie a little more fluff, less than a flat like pancake cookie. And then after we add in that, we go with baking soda. Baking soda, you're going to go ahead and add 1 tablespoon and then 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. I love the kosher salt better than regular table salt just because I feel like it brings out the taste in the chocolate chips that we're going to go ahead and add later. Once we have that together, we're going to add in vanilla instant pudding. This will basically ensure that your chocolate chip cookies remain soft after they're baked, and it keeps them softer for days to come. So we're going to go ahead and whisk all that together. Whisk it back and forth a couple of times just to ensure that all the dry ingredients are mixed together evenly. After that, we go ahead, bring the wet mixture, and we're going to go ahead and put in 2 room temperature large eggs. As it's mixing, make sure 1 egg mixes before you add the second. And here we are just adding the second egg after the first one was mixed up. After that, we're going to go ahead, lift up the mixture once it's creamed together, and just scrape the sides again to make sure that all the egg is mixed in with the sugar and every other ingredient. Then we're going to go ahead and start adding in our dry ingredients, and it's going to do little by little, like half and half. Once we do that, we're going to make sure it's fully mixed before adding the remaining portion of the flour. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and add in the rest of the flour and just let that mix together. You don't want to overbeat the dough because if you do, it will make flatter cookies. So we're just going to mix it just enough that we no longer see the dry mixture and it's mixed in correctly with the wet mixture. Again, I like to scrape the bowl just to ensure that all the flour and dry ingredients are mixed together great and give it one last mix before we go ahead and add in our chocolate chips. After we do that, we're just going to make sure that we get all of the cookie dough off of the mixing head, I guess that would be. And then after that, we're going to take it to the countertop. We're going to take some plastic wrap and we're just going to lay it on top of the counter because what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and refrigerate the cookie dough. Cold cookie dough does bake better than room temperature cookie dough, so I like to refrigerate it for a minimum of 2 hours, sometimes even overnight to make them a little fluffier. We're just going to go ahead and put the cookie dough right on top of the plastic and then start to add in the chocolate chip of choice. We did some chocolate chunks right here, some regular milk chocolate chips, and then for a fall festive thing, a little pumpkin spice bacon chips. These cookies came out really good. So we're just going to go ahead and knead those chocolate chips in. I don't put them in the mixer because the mixer tends to chop up the chocolate chips a little bit, and I really don't care for them to be choppy. As we put it into a ball, we're just going to go ahead, flatten it out into a square. This just this just helps with cutting the cookie dough when we're ready to bake it to make it as flat as possible. We're going to go ahead and wrap up that cookie dough. And again, we're going to refrigerate that for roughly 2 hours to overnight, depending on when we want to bake it. Make sure to get all the air out when folding it up. And here we are a couple hours later, just going to go ahead and bake these cookies. With this, I like to cut them in about 1 to 2 inches section. I roll them in my hand a little bit just to warm them up a tad. And then I put them in a bowl, put it on a tray, and then flatten it just a little bit. And I do put them about 1 to 2 inches apart. And this way they don't start to like melt together as they're baking in the oven. And I want to say that this recipe yields maybe 2.5 dozen, possibly 3, depending on the size of the cookie that you want to make. I typically like a larger cookie, so I do aim for a little bit larger of a cookie, and it's less work when baking them out. So we're just going to go ahead, roll it in our hands, put it on a tray, flatten it just a tad, and then we're going to go ahead and pop it in the oven at 365 degrees around 11 minutes. And this is the cookies just baking. This one was like half the time, and this is our finished product. And this is what the cookies look like. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe. If you have any questions, please comment down below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, guys. Bye.